to do a quick live before I go away to Tremor with the two kiddies to go on roller coasters for the weekend. Thought I'd give you a bit of value and provoke a few thoughts for you over the weekend. So that maybe next week you could take small steps to improve your health. Okay. Um, Title of today's video: how feelings of not being good enough can derail your health and fitness. Okay. I don't think I'd put the title in. I'll figure it out after. Okay. So what I've noticed from working with busy men that are highly successful in their workplace is that the most common complaint is, I would like to lose 2-3 stone, but to be honest with you, I don't have time because I am so busy. I get up in the morning, I'm flat out from 6 a.m. till 10 o'clock at night, working in the business, and then maybe trying to give my partner a break when I come home, and maybe trying to spend some time with the kids, and then I'm just zonked and I'm wrecked and I can't. And look, Barry, I've 40-50 pounds to lose, but I just don't know where to start, because from what I'm looking at my schedule there, and I can't see somewhere that I could fit in a 45-minute gym session or a walk, because I'm just so overwhelmed and so stressed. Okay. Now, maybe that sounds like you. Maybe it doesn't, and you'll scroll on. Maybe that sounds like you, and you're wondering, how am I going to turn this around and bring it back? How am I going to lose those 3 or 4 stone and start looking after myself properly? I would quiz you and question you, and I would provoke you with a comment now. An overinvestment in any area of your life suggests a lack elsewhere. So if you're working 70, 80, 90 hours, there's a very, very, very good chance that you know for a fact you're kind of drawing that on yourself. You're drawing more and more and more work on yourself. There are situations where you could cut back a little on work, or you could say yes to one contract and do it really well, rather than take you on 3 or 4 at the same time. You might be curious as to why you might do that. Most common reason for people doing that is they're distracting themselves from things they don't want to think about, because it's pleasurable to go out into the world and solve problems. And you remember, humans think that we are highly evolved. We think we're very fancy, you know. We're pretty basic. We only have 2 basic motivations. All of human behavior boils down to this. We only have 2 basic motivations. We move away from pain and we move towards pleasure. So if you're sitting on the couch on a Friday evening and you've aspirations of going for a walk, but it's pissing rain outside, you anticipate that walk would be painful. It's more natural to sit on the couch with a cup of tea and engage in a bit of comfort eating, because that's pleasurable. Okay? It's more natural to dive into work, dive into complicated problems, and start fixing software, start setting meetings, start achieving goals in work. It's very pleasurable. You know, you have a to-do list for the day, you tick it all off, you feel great. It's painful to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, get into a cold shower, train with a kettlebell for a half an hour. So because it's painful, you shy away from it. So first things first, you don't need to be ashamed or feel sorry or embarrassed that you don't have the motivation right now to change your health and fitness, because the vast majority of people don't. Okay? But it also goes both ways. Now, a lack of self-esteem and a feeling of not being good enough can derail your health and fitness efforts. And I'll show you how that happens. So a lack of self-esteem often causes an overinvestment in work or anything, but work is probably one of your highest values because you're successful in work. So it stands to reason that you'd be more successful if you invest more of your time and effort into a thing. That's why your fitness is in the gutter right now. It's that you don't see it as important, and therefore you haven't invested time and energy in it. Okay. Now I'll give you a case study of one client that I'm working with recently. He has figured out on week 10 or 11 of working together that the whole reason for his success in the workplace, so he's hugely successful in work, he's making great wages, he's a very important person in his company. He has figured out that his sole reason for being successful is that at his core, in his belly, he doesn't feel good enough. And his primary source of validation, self-worth, self-esteem is in getting success at work and being praised for it. And he's also figured out that that's a dead end, and it's dangerous because you're never going to get the amount of praise in the workplace that you need, that you feel you need. And that means if anything goes bad at work, it triggers anger, upset, envy, jealousy, fear, anxiety for you. Then you could notice that you're coming home at the weekend and you just cannot relax. So it directly impacts your quality of life and the quality of the time that you might spend with your partner and your children. So if work stress is really triggering really strong emotions for you at the moment, so it's creating anxiety for you, sleepless nights and such, have a think, have a quiet moment to yourself and examine whether or not you may be overstretched, over-invested emotionally in work. Because if you have a load of workmates with you, chances are they're going in to work to get wages. So they're going in, they're swapping their skill set and their time from 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, so that they can get a wage at the end of the week. That's what work is for. Now, it's good to have meaningful work and it's good to be excited about work. But if work has become more than that, it can turn into a negative thing. It stands to reason that if your co-workers aren't as successful as you, there's a very good chance that you're getting more out of work than them. They're getting wages, you're getting a sense of validation, and your whole self-esteem, your whole universe of self-confidence is built on success in work. I promise you that's dangerous, because then if work goes, company goes bust, carpet gets pulled out, disagreement and you're fired or your work goes badly, it can really shake you and rattle you to your core, to the point where it can upset your life and your home life and family life. So feelings of not being good enough can derail your health and fitness, because if you feel that you're not good enough, you might overinvest in work. You might spend way too much time there. Even when you're home, you're working. That's why you have no free time. You have no free time because you're overinvested emotionally in work. Okay? What I would love to do is give you that thought, leave you be thinking. And the way behavior change works is you have to get into someone's head, plant a seed of a thought, persuade and influence them to change their behavior long term, open things up, get the truth out on the table. And I want you to be thinking about that. If that strikes a chord with you, be thinking about that. Head off for a walk, a quiet walk at the weekend. Have a think about that. Might spur you into the cogs turning and maybe balancing things out a bit next week. Pulling back maybe, a couple of half-hour slots from work and going for a walk. It'll boost your work performance anyway. Okay? Have a think about that for the weekend. I'm going to have to ride roller coasters, and see you next week. I will end this as soon as the button works. Yes, I want to end the stream.